Okay, this is the second time I'm recording this video because I'm using a microphone because in the last video I made, people were complaining that the audio was really bad, and I agree it was. So I'm trying to step up my game a little bit and use a microphone, but it turns out, I just watched it back, that the microphone wasn't working. It's plugged in, so we'll see. Hopefully this time the microphone works. Anyway, this is an updated supplies video. I made a video going over all the art supplies that I use. This was several years ago. It's really early on my YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, I'll link it below, or you could just scroll really far to see it. But since then, I've accumulated a lot more different tools and art supplies, and I thought I would make an updated video just to show you everything that I'm using currently. I'm going to show you everything I have here, and I'm also going to link all of these supplies down below. So if you're interested in any of these and you want to pick one up, they will be affiliate links. So if you buy one of them, I'll get a little bit of a kickback from it. You don't have to use those links. You could also just write these down and try to find them at your local art supply store. That would be awesome as well. But if you want to use my links, they'll be down below. But okay, let's get into it. We'll start with pencils, then we'll go to inks, then we'll go to some paints, because I've been incorporating some more color and traditional painting into my work lately, and then we'll do paper at the end. So that's the structure. Let's get into it. Okay, pencils. I'm a simple guy when it comes to pencils. I just like regular pencils. I like an HB, I like an F, and I like a B. Here's a well-used B. That's sort of the range that I work within. Every now and then, if I'm feeling real dangerous and artistic, I might use like a 5B or something like that, just to kind of get that like shading charcoal effect. But a new addition, as it pertains to penciling for me, has been using a mechanical pencil. I've never really been much of a mechanical pencil kind of artist, but these are really cool. I get it now. They're very precise. You could get really in there and do like pupils and nostrils and all that kind of stuff really well with these. And also they glide really nicely. I don't know, maybe it's just the pen lead that I'm using. I don't know much about mechanical pencils, but I'm using this 0.7 millimeter lead. It's a Pentel lead, and then the pencil holder itself is, again, I'll have this link down below, but it's an Alvin draft line. And I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I don't think you're supposed to like sketch with these things, but I've been really enjoying just loosely, freely sketching with them. They kind of glide really nicely on the paper. Mechanical pencil, I feel like I'm like Jim Lee or something like that when I use these. So it's very cool. Okay, I make a lot of mistakes. So I use an eraser. I just use a regular kneaded eraser. I like these because you could twist them into little points and erase all your little mistakes. And also when you're stressed out and angry, you could just sort of squeeze them too. It's pretty great. And they don't make any crumbs. It's the best part. Okay, so on to now some inks. I love ink. For me, that's the most fun part of the process. And when it comes to inking very traditionally, like with a brush, where is it? I like to use the Winsor Newton Series 7 brush. Look at that. It's in a fancy little case too. I did a video on this a few years ago, but it's pretty great. I use what do I use? A number 2. If I were to buy a new one, I would probably get like a number 4 or something like that, because I feel like I would get a wider range of line. But a number 2 is really great, especially if you're just starting out inking and you're a little bit unsure about your control when it comes to a brush. I think a number 2 is a real happy medium in terms of a size. Winsor Newton Series 7. This is sort of like the industry standard when it comes to like inking comic books and illustration. Some people say that this particular brush isn't as good as it used to be, but I haven't been around long enough to really know the difference. So to me, I think it's still good. Also, I sometimes just like a generic brush as well. As long as you get like a good watercolor brush, it can really do the trick. I think the thing about brushes is how you take care of them. That's the most important thing, is just to take care of them. I've also been using lately like this nib. This is a mapping nib. I saw Matteo Scalera He said he uses this and he's amazing, and I want to be amazing like him. So far, it hasn't really worked on me, but I really like this a lot. It's a lot of fun. If you're used to inking with any other kind of like comic book nib, like a G nib, those have a lot of give to them. It's great. You could get a really nice like thin to thick line. This is about the opposite of that. This is very rigid and very, very thin, but it's great for like hatching and cross hatching and sketching like detailed like facial features, eyes and facial hair and lines and different things like that. A mapping nib, maybe it was made to make maps or something like that. I don't know, but it's very precise and you can get some really cool textures with it. I've been messing around a lot with it in my sketchbook so far. I haven't really used it on too much finished work, but I'm really digging it. It feels really fun. It's cool. Okay, none of these things are good unless you dip them in something, and I like to dip them in ink. When it comes to ink, I love my Winsor Newton Black Indian ink. Let's see if I could get a shot of that. This is my favorite. I've used many inks when I was first starting out, and this is the ink that I like the best, and haven't stopped using it for the last, 10 or 15 years. It's really great. Some inks are just too watery. Some inks are like molasses. This is a really nice middle ground. It dries really well. It's really easy to just lay down. My favorite ink by far. I recommend it to anyone who's on the market for some ink. So for sure, this is the only one I use. And just like erasers, when I'm penciling, I make mistakes when I'm inking as well. And when I do, I like to use this Pro White ink. Could you see that? Pro White. Sometimes it takes a couple of layers depending on how bad your mistake is, or how much ink you're trying to go on top of. But this stuff's really good. I think this is great for also like effects like rain or snow, stuff like that. Even more though, when it comes to covering up ink or doing effects, I'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about coloring, but I like to use like just some white gouache or white acrylic paint. That works really well too. Also, what I've been having a lot of fun with lately, where is it? The Uni Posca marker. These are awesome. A lot of fun to draw with, to do like rain and snow and stars and outlines. I've been digging this a lot. So between this, the Pro White, the white paint, you could do a lot. Cool effects. You can cover up some mistakes. Of course, if you just spill a bunch of ink, there's not much you could do in the way of like covering that stuff up with white, but little mini splatters or mistakes, you could definitely use any one of these to cover that stuff up. But these are also really great for just like effects too. Okay, now let's get into the pens, because I got a lot of really cool pens I want to share with you. You all know, this was in my last video as well, I'm pretty sure, I love my Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. It's one of the best brush pens on the market. Great price. The refills are really affordable. It's great. You could use this for finish work. You could use this for sketchbook stuff. Super handy dandy. I really love this one. Still do. With that being said, there's a new brush pen in town, and this is the Kuretake brush pen. I forget what exact number this is. I'll link it below for sure, but I'm loving this brush pen. It's given the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen a run for its money. I still love that guy, but this one has a little bit more like of a delicate line. It doesn't hold a ton of ink on it, and I mean that in a good way. It's not like exploding with ink when you start to use it. And it's a little bit thinner. Again, it's a little bit more precise. You could get like nice delicate lines with it, but you could also get those bold lines with it too. I'm really, really loving this one. Very, very cool. Again, I'll link it below. Highly recommend. Calligraphy pen. This is a little bit new for me. There's this guy on Instagram, I forget his name, I'll put it here or link him below, but he uses this pen and he's amazing. It's this cool calligraphy pen. It's really hard to control, and that's one of the things that I like about it most, because sometimes when I'm using a pen or a brush or something that like is difficult to control. It gives me like a spontaneous kind of line. It gives me a line that I might not have intended to put down, but it goes down and then I have to kind of react to it. So I like this for that, because I have to kind of like fight with it a little bit, and I think that keeps the whatever I'm working on really, really fresh. I've been using this a lot in my sketchbook. I've used it on some finished pieces as well. If you're looking for something different, if you're used to using very precise tools and you want to kind of like push yourself a little bit more and get a little bit more of a variety of line, I recommend using this. It's really great quality too. I should mention that it's called the Sailor pen. It's a Japanese pen. I'll link it below, of course. I also got this with different color refills too. So far I've only been using the black, but I'm looking forward to trying out the different colors too, because that'll be fun. Moving on with some more pens. Here's Pilot, a Pilot Fudayaku pen. This is, I guess, the Japanese Pilot, not like the office pens that we're used to here. This is double-sided. There's a thicker side and a thinner side. These I've been finding are really nice to ink hair with, because I could use the thicker side to kind of put the bigger shapes in, and then use the thinner side to feather stuff out and make all like the nice strands and stuff like that. So again, Pilot Fudayaku, I'll link them below. Awesome stuff. I was watching Daniel Warren Johnson on one of his live streams, and he was using these pens. These are Zebra pens. They're really cool. They're a little bit more like markers to me, but they have like a nice energetic line. Sometimes as they start to lose ink, they get a little dry brushy too, which is really fun because you get some really nice unintended effects with them in a really great way. So these are super handy. Great too for like just outlines and maybe doing some background stuff. Speaking of outlines and background stuff, here's some mechanical pens. I probably had these in my last video as well. These are the Marvy lay pens. I love these guys. They're great. They're kind of like Staedtler pens, but much more affordable. But really, to me, like the same kind of quality. They're awesome. I like the 0.5, the 0.3, the 0.1, the 0.8. And then they also have like a brush pen. And this is really not like a brush pen, but it works really nice as like a marker. And I use this to like fill in black areas, and it's really good because the ink quality is really good. I might have talked about these in my last video as well. These are the Itoya double headers, and they're like calligraphy pens as well. A little bit more control than the Sailor pen, but I like these a lot. There's like a chiseled tip. So anytime there's a chiseled tip or anything like that, you could get really nice effects depending on how you hold it and what side of it you use. And then lastly, to close out the pen category, is this. This is also a Kuretake pen, double-sided as well. One side is gray, one side is black. This pen is awesome. I've been using it like crazy for both sketchbook stuff and finished stuff. In my sketchbook, what I'll do is I'll pencil stuff in, and then I'll use the gray side first just to do like shadows and textures and different things like that. And then I'll go in with like a brush or a brush pen or a pen and do the outlines on top of that. I'm really happy with that, with the results that's been giving me. I've also used these on some finished commissions as well. Solid pen. These are also really easy to travel with too, and you could get a little bit more like tonal stuff with this gray side. So these are awesome. I just got a new one, and this is the case in case you want to see it, but I'll link it below as well. Okay, so I think that's all the pens and black and white stuff. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, I've been using color lately, traditional color. Look at me, I'm graduating. And when it comes to the particular paints that I've been using, I'm using gouache paint because I feel like gouache is a very versatile kind of paint. A lot of like old school illustrators would use gouache paint, and you could use it two different ways. You could use it like it's acrylic and get like a really nice graphic flat effect, or you could use it like it's watercolor. Just use it exactly like watercolor. It might look just like that. All it really comes down to is how much or how little water you add to the paint. And so I really like that about it. It's versatile. It's for me at least, it's not like super intimidating like oils or something like that. And I like acrylics as well, but this gives me that extra versatility, because if I want to do a wash or gradients and stuff like that, I could use it just like it's watercolor. So I don't really know much about paint and gouache in particular to like recommend a specific brand, but this is just the brand that I have and the brand that I've been using. It's called M. Graham & Co. And it's a 5-color basic gouache set. I keep it really, really basic because I don't know much about color, and I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to get comfortable using it. So I don't want to have like a million colors because I won't know what to do with them. I'll get overwhelmed and then I'll start crying or something like that. So this is really easy. It's just the primary colors plus black and white, and keeps it really simple for me. I've just been using them so far. They feel great to me. If you're an advanced gouache user or painter, you might disagree and think that these are trash, but I think they're great. I'll link them below. I'm sure as I go on using paint, gouache, and get more comfortable and experiment with different brands, I'll have more of an opinion on that kind of thing. But for now, they've been doing well. I've been even using them on commissions, so good stuff. Okay, none of this is anything really unless I have something to put it on. So that brings us to paper. Let's see. Since we were talking about painting, this is the paper I've been using when I'm using my gouaches, arches, hot pressed, watercolor paper. Hot pressed, again, I don't know too much about this stuff, but I think hot pressed is a little bit more smooth. It's not as like bumpy and textural as perhaps the cold pressed. So depending on the look that you're going for and what kind of paper you like, I like hot pressed. Also, when I'm using my paints and inks and any kind of other stuff, I've been using this Canson mixed media. It's great. It's not as like sturdy as the arches, but I'm also just using this for black and white ink stuff too. And it's holding up really well. If I want to add a little bit more water or maybe a slight wash, this is really cool. So it's not super fancy, but it's still like high quality. You could do finished work on here. I even did a couple of commissions on here. So really cool stuff. I like that a lot. I was mentioning the Posca markers and the white ink and the white paint. I've been really enjoying drawing and painting on this stuff. Tone gray mixed media paper. It's really cool. You get like instant sort of satisfaction with it because you get that quick contrast. Anytime you put white right on top of something that's already toned, you're kind of just like carving out the light from something that is already, I guess, kind of like in shadow. And then of course my trusty Strathmore vellum finish Bristol board paper. This is where I do most of my stuff. This is comic book sized as well. This is 11 by 17, so you can make a whole comic book with just this one pad. Very cool. Definitely recommend if you're a cartoonist, illustrator, comic book artist. This is sort of just classic. I like vellum finish because it's not super slick like the smooth finish. It's got a little bit of a tooth to it, but it's not like overly textured. And then lastly, tracing paper. This is where I do all my like preliminary stuff. I move stuff around, I cut pieces out, I put them together, I erase, I throw out, I crumble up, I do it again. It's great. It's kind of like an analog version of Photoshop layers. I love tracing paper. I definitely recommend having this. It's just a regular generic Blick brand. And again, I'll link all of these papers below. I've been mentioning my sketchbook drawings throughout this video, and I really love keeping a sketchbook. I highly recommend keeping a sketchbook. For me, it's where I get a lot of my ideas down. It's where I warm up. I do my regular stay warm warm-up sketches. I'll take my sketchbook with me if I travel or go somewhere. It's just really been nice to have a regular sketchbook practice for the last few years. And I recommend getting any kind of sketchbook that you prefer or enjoy, but I will say that the best sketchbook on the market happens to be the official Stay Warm sketchbook. This is my sketchbook. I'll link these below as well. I did a video recently taking you through some of what I have in here so far. I've been getting a lot of mileage, as you can see, out of this sketchbook. It's more than halfway full at this point. Like I said, use any sketchbook you want to use, but if you want the coolest one, you got to get the Stay Warm sketchbook, that's for sure. Okay, so I think we covered it. I think that's everything. I hope this microphone works, because this is the second time I'm recording this and my voice is already getting tired. So thanks so much for watching. If you didn't see anything here that you use and that you want to recommend, please do leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear it. I love talking shop with other artists, and I'm always all ears when it comes to recommendations for certain types of supplies and stuff like that. So please do leave that in the comments. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that I showed, please also leave that in the comments. Again, if you're interested in buying any of this stuff, you can pick them up wherever you want, but if you want to use my affiliate links, I'll have all of those in the description below, along with all the specific names for all the specific brushes and models and different things like that. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope to have some more videos coming soon. I got some good ideas for some videos, so stay tuned for all of those coming up. And yeah, that's it. My updated art supplies video. I hope you dig it. And cool. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.